Hi there, we are back for another episode of Shadowbringers, and we are doing the main scenario quest from patch 5.1 here in Arang at X 28.8, Y 27.6, Z 0.8, and we have to talk to Backlook. Good for the soul. Backlook is ready to speak of the metaphysical. I suspect the Chris Lexark has told you of my past, that I was once a mage of the royal court of Wobert, and that soulcraft was my field of study. The tonic you administered to the patients here is one of the fruits of my labors. I hoped to do great things for the kingdom. But in the end my knowledge brought only suffering, a plague the like of which none had ever seen. In the hands of unscrupulous men, what should have been my greatest triumph instead became my greatest shame. You mustn't dwell in the past. And now you have a chance to redeem yourself. At least the warriors of light brought those responsible to justice. Yes. Aye, that they did. I shudder to think what might have happened had they not. But let us return to the task at hand, finding a means by which we might revitalize these people's incorporeal ether. Do you think it can be done? Were the skies still ablaze with primordial light, I would call it an exercise in futility, but now we may have a chance. The method I have in mind will entail the conjuring of a familiar. They are able to amplify the energies poured into them, making them the perfect conduit for the ether revitalizing magics we will ultimately employ. If you are about to launch into a lengthy explanation of the metaphysics of your plan, don't bother. I'd rather get on with doing whatever it is that needs to be done, if it's all the same to you. Whatever regions must be procured or spells invoked, I'll do it. I admire your spirit. Very well. Your first task will be to gather the necessary materials. The purest of waters and finest of clays, as well as a fair lantern brimming with pixie magic. If you are convinced the resulting familiar could help the patients, fine. If you know the water and clay will be simple enough, but I think you know what we'll have to do to get the lantern. You don't mean... The pixies took quite a liking to us before. If we humor them with our company, I'm sure they'll be willing to help us. Fine, we'll pay a visit to Ilmek. So I never thought you would be the one to suggest going back there. I'm impressed you've been there at all, let alone befriended the fae folk. Oh, while you are about it, seek out the Numo of Plaeni. They will be able to supply you with water suitable for our needs. Right, let's get this over with, shall we? There still remains the matter of the clay. Might I prevail upon you to find it? Clay from Amarang would likely be best. Know you of anyone who might be able to assist us? I could ask the miners at Twine. Well, there are the scavengers at Mordzuk. The miners, I guess. Ah, yes, they will be able to point you in the right direction, I am sure. While you and the twins are occupied, I will see if there's aught else I can learn of the stagnation which afflicts the people here. speak with Magnus. Twine. Sweet, well, what a coincidence. You've come at a good time. We've just this moment finished repairing the tailors and trolley you lot took to Nabas Arang. The trolley was no trouble, but the tailors would have been another matter, had we not had a visit from Master Chai. He offered us a share of the leftover building materials from Daedalus stoneworks, as well as a few trade secrets to help us along. Clever man, that Chinas. He seemed pretty keen on the ideas I had for putting the giant tailors to work. Like a giant trolley. But Magnus still refuses to see all the good we could do with it. You're entitled to your dreams, Jarek, but that doesn't mean you can go harassing our guests with them. Master Chai was just being polite. And something tells me Sweet here didn't come all this way to talk about trolleys. What is it you need, friend? I see, and this familiar requires clay from Amarang. Well, look no further. If anyone can find you some quality clay, it's us. Saying that it isn't exactly a commodity nowadays, but there must be some lurking somewhere or other, waiting to be dug up. If I'm not mistaken, there was a time when they used to take clay from Mount Byron mines to make adobe bricks. Place is swarming with coyotes now, but if you are after the good stuff, you could do worse than to look there. The twins have returned, and in one piece at that. I was convinced the pixies would turn at least one of them into a garden ornament, but no. You have the clay, I take it? Wonderful. We need but combine the clay and the water, then heat the mixture with the fey lantern. After that it will be a simple matter of settling upon a suitable form and performing the necessary incantation. Beck, look, I have a question. In the event that we had need of this spell and you weren't around, would it be possible for another to perform the incantation? Assuming they possess the requisite skill, yes. Ulrich and the others have suffered so much, and I swore to do everything in my power to save them. If there is a chance this spell could do that, I would be the one to invoke it. Mayhap you should be the one to do so. A deep understanding of the subject's physical state, combined with a strong desire to help them, can drastically increase the magic's effect, and you are plainly more familiar with these people than I. I dare say there are few in all of Norvrand more dedicated to finding a cure. Is that not so, sweet? Absolutely, she's the best woman for the job. Very few, but if aught should go awry, I'll see what I can do. Absolutely. I'll give it my all, for Ulrich, for Teslin. Then we are all of a mind on the matter. Elisei shall be the one to conjure the familiar.
Let us begin. I trust you've prepared the clay? Very good. Now, I would have you sculpt for me a porksy. Plump, with floppy ears and a short curly tail.
A porksy? I think I know what you mean. There we are. How's that?
Well, it is certainly creative. There's no denying that.
Yes, I'm no artist. Very funny.
Pay him no mind, child. Though it may look like a grotesque parody of reality, it is what the invoker believes that matters.
You're not helping.
But I speak the truth. If successful, this incantation will turn imagination into reality. Which is why the only thing of import is what you believe this figure embodies. You must focus. Hold the Porksy's image steady in your mind's eye. Now then, as I taught you, relax and allow your energies to flow.
With flesh of clay I bid thee rise. on wings of dreams to touch the skies. What once was idle fantasy, I call forth to reality.
Not bad for a first attempt. Now, let us see what can be done for young Halric. Through the operation of the magics you invoked to animate this familiar, it is now replete with the energies required to stir the boy's soul. You need but give it a name, and it will do as your heart desires.
A name. All right, I've decided. Now. Go, Angelo!
Mother, I...
How is he, Backlack? Did it work? I believe it did. You and your fledgling familiar have done well. If my eyes do not deceive, a hint of color was returned to his soul. Gods, I would jump for joy if I weren't so exhausted. We are so close now, Halric. As you are even now in the process of discovering, this magic asks much of the invoker. What you may not have realized is that the same is also true of the subject. As such, we must proceed with caution. However, with further treatment, I have the utmost confidence the boy will make a full recovery. Observing the reanimation of his stagnant soul has been most enlightening. I will need time to put my theories to the proof, but I believe I can fashion a spell to produce the opposite effect, that is, to induce stagnation, thus enabling our safe transport back to the source via Orosid. A thought occurred to me about this treatment. Backlack said, when the soul is rendered dormant, the mind is separated from the body, that a person becomes incapable of interacting with the world around them. Does that not sound a lot like some of the tempered back in the source? Not really. It is the fate of most tempered to become slaves to primals, save in a handful of cases. Or am I missing something? If I can master this technique, the art of revitalizing the soul, I know of at least one in the source who could desperately use such treatment. I'm not sure I follow. Gabu. Do you really think it could work? Gabu was this tiny kobold, was it not? Let's try this. Gabu. Exactly. His condition is uncannily similar to Halric's, is it not? The only difference being that his soul was suffused with Earth's aspected ether instead of light. It follows that if his soul is subject to a similar kind of stagnation, there may be a chance we can save him, right? Forgive me, but who is this Gabu fellow of whom you speak? I see, his condition does sound similar. Yet there is much and more about the soul that remains unknown even to me. I say this not to discourage you, you understand, but to remind you that this is delicate work we do here, work requiring patience. Of course, and as long as there is hope for the patients here, I will devote whatever time is needed to see this through. But I refuse to spend that time in idleness. If it's all the same to you, I'd like to stay here with Angelo and continue with their treatment. The two of you should return to the Crystarium with Backlook and see if you can't make some headway with their newly posited theories. I would tell you to rest first, but I see you are not to be convinced. The fire of youth. Let us return to the Crystarium, then. Finally, I found you. Kaishir, what are you doing all the way out here? There's trouble back in Yulmur. Lady Chai's beside herself, sighing, pacing, the whole lot. Near enough begged me to go and find you. Sighing and pacing? You say it must be urgent. I take it. I will be returning to the Crystarium alone. Go on, then. It's not as if I have anything for you to do. Thank you, Backlook. Sorry for bothering you and all that, but she says the future of Yulmur is at stake. Complete. So. And that was it for now. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye bye.